Once upon a time, in a green and peaceful meadow, there lived a little ant named Andy. Andy was no different from the other ants in size, but he had a heart full of dreams. Unlike his friends who were content gathering food and living their simple lives, Andy wanted something more. His biggest dream was to climb the tallest hill in the meadow. From the top of the hill, he had heard that one could see the entire world, the trees, the rivers, and even the horizon, where the sky touched the earth. But every time Andy shared his dream, the other ants laughed at him. "You're too small to climb that hill," they said. "The hill is steep, the winds are strong, and you are just one little ant." No one believed Andy could do it. But Andy, despite feeling small, had a strong belief in himself. "Maybe I am small," he thought, "but I will never know unless I try." One day, he decided to follow his dream. He packed a tiny bag with food, enough to last a few days, and said goodbye to his ant friends. With the morning sun shining brightly, Andy began his long journey towards the hill. At first, everything seemed easy. The path to the hill was smooth, and the weather was perfect. The sun was warm, and there was a gentle breeze. Andy felt full of energy and confidence as he marched forward. He imagined himself reaching the top and looking out over the beautiful world. "I will make it," he whispered to himself with a smile. But as he started climbing the hill, the path became steeper. The soft grass turned into sharp rocks, and the ground was uneven. Andy had to be very careful with every step. Halfway up, a sudden gust of wind came out of nowhere. The wind was so strong that it knocked Andy off his feet, and before he could hold on to anything, he tumbled down the hill. He rolled and rolled, unable to stop until he reached the bottom. Covered in dust and scratches, Andy lay on the ground, feeling defeated. "Maybe they were right," he thought. "Maybe I am too small to climb this hill." His heart was heavy, and for a moment he thought about giving up. But as he sat there, looking up at the hill, something stirred inside him. "I can't give up," he said quietly. "I came all this way. I'll try again tomorrow." The next day, with a renewed sense of determination, Andy woke up early. The memory of his fall was still fresh in his mind, but this time he was more careful. He checked the wind before starting and waited until it was calm to begin his climb again. He moved slowly, watching each step and resting when the wind grew stronger. Andy thought about his friends back home. They were all safe and comfortable in the meadow, but he was here, trying to achieve something no other ant had ever done. "It's hard," Andy admitted to himself, "but I want to see the world from the top." As he neared the top of the hill, he could almost see the view he had dreamed of. But just as he was about to reach the last few steps, a large bird flew down from the sky. The bird was looking for food and didn't notice the small ant on the ground. Andy quickly jumped to the side to avoid being stepped on, but in doing so, he lost his balance and fell back down the hill. Once again, he tumbled all the way to the bottom. This time, Andy was not only tired but also hurt. His legs ached and his tiny body felt bruised from the fall. "It's too hard," he sighed. "I've failed twice now. Maybe the hill is just too big for me." Andy sat there for a long time thinking about what to do. He could go home, where everything was familiar and safe, or he could try again, even though the climb seemed impossible. On the third day, despite his fears and the pain from his previous falls, Andy decided to try one more time. "I've come this far," he thought. "I can't turn back now." He started climbing again, slowly and carefully. His legs felt tired, but his heart was strong. Every time he wanted to stop, he remembered the view he longed to see. As Andy climbed, he met a butterfly resting on a flower. The butterfly was beautiful, with colorful wings that sparkled in the sunlight. "Why don't you fly with me?" the butterfly asked. "It's much easier than climbing, and I can show you the world from up high." Andy thought about it for a moment. Flying with the butterfly would be much easier, and he could see the world without any more hard work. But then, Andy shook his head. "Thank you," he said, "but I want to climb the hill on my own. It's something I need to do for myself." The butterfly smiled kindly and wished Andy good luck. "You are very brave," said the butterfly, and then it flew away, disappearing into the sky. Andy felt proud of himself for not taking the easy way out. He knew that even if it was difficult, reaching the top on his own would mean more to him. He continued climbing, one step at a time, pushing through the wind and the steep rocks. His tiny legs trembled with effort, but he refused to stop. Finally, after what felt like an endless journey, Andy reached the top of the hill. He stood there, panting and tired, but with a huge smile on his face. The view was more beautiful than he had ever imagined. Below him, the meadow stretched out like a green carpet, dotted with flowers. He could see the river sparkling in the distance, and the trees swaying gently in the breeze. For the first time, Andy felt like he was part of something much bigger than himself. "I did it," he whispered to himself. "I climbed the hill." Looking down, he saw the other ants far below. They looked so small from up here, just like he had felt when they told him he couldn't do it. But now, he knew that size didn't matter. What mattered was that he had never given up. Even though he had fallen and failed, he had always gotten back up and tried again. The other ants were amazed when they saw Andy standing on the top of the hill. They couldn't believe that the little ant, whom they thought was too small, had made it to the top. "Maybe we were wrong," they said. "Andy is stronger than we thought." As Andy sat at the top of the hill, watching the world around him, he thought about everything he had been through. The falls, the wins, and the challenges had all made him stronger. He realized that success wasn't just about reaching the top of the hill. It was about the journey, the struggles, and the courage to keep going, even when things seemed impossible. "Success isn't about never failing," Andy said to himself. "It's about never giving up." From that day on, Andy knew that failure wasn't something to be afraid of. Every time he failed, it was just another step closer to success. He learned that with effort, determination, and belief in himself, he could achieve anything. And whenever he faced a new challenge, he remembered the lesson he learned from climbing the hill. No matter how many times you fall, what matters is that you always get back up and keep trying. Moral of the story: success is not about never failing, it's about never giving up. Every failure is a step closer to reaching your dream.